When you think of ships, you likely imagine grand vessels with billowing sails and ropes thick as a man's torso. But for those living in the shadow of New England's wind-filled sails, you might have smelled the festering stench of rotting fish and human waste long before you saw the dark hole cutting through the waves. The real experience of sailing aboard an open ship in the age of discovery was far different from its romanticized image. Imagine working 24/7, barely stepping off the deck for weeks or even months. Sleep when you can between the masts. Eat a diet of hard biscuits, salt meat, and ale. As if you're lucky. No wonder so many sailors were driven mad or died trying to escape that hell. But there was one type of ship that made the open ocean crossing unbearable for the crew of floating prison. Where? Death. Lurked around every corner and spilled onto the decks a ship where your chances of dying by drowning were matched only by those killed by whales, a floating factory. It was called a whaling ship. There was nothing romantic about whaling ships. If the thought of sleeping on a stinking mattress covered in human and animal waste while working without rest doesn't sound appealing, then don't worry, you never had to do it because today we are talking about it. In the 18th century, whaling ships became highly sophisticated, incorporating techniques and innovations which increased their speed and capacity, making them faster and more profitable. Still, the conditions aboard these ships were dire. These boats were dirty, cramped, and unsanitary. Sailors slept in crowded hammocks, sometimes 3 to a hammock. Food was scarce and of poor quality, consisting mainly of salted meats and dried biscuits, which caused scurvy and other diseases. Crew members were forced to work long hours without rest, often 7 days a week, with little or no pay. The danger of being attacked by whales was always present. The open boat had been a fundamental part of maritime history, allowing exploration and trade across vast oceans. But once the whaling industry began, these boats took on a new and sinister purpose. They became factories at sea, tirelessly churning out oil and products from the flesh and fat of the mighty whales. The sailors endured terrible living conditions and a constant threat of danger. Now get ready to embark on a journey into the heart of darkness. The Essex was a New England-built whaling ship whose tragic fate inspired Herman Melville's classic novel Moby Dick. On August 5, 1819, the Essex set sail from Nantucket on its second whaling voyage. The crew of 20 men under the command of Captain George Pollard Jr. and First Mate Owen Chase headed to the Pacific Ocean in search of sperm whales. Their voyage was uneventful until November, when they encountered a massive sperm whale that attacked and sank the ship, leaving the crew stranded in 3 small whaleboats. The survivors faced starvation, dehydration, and exposure as they drifted in the open sea for weeks. After consuming their meager supplies of water and food, the crew resorted to drinking seawater and eating turtle meat. Eventually, they were rescued, but not before enduring unimaginable hardship and loss. The ordeal of the Essex crew highlights the dangers of whaling and the unforgiving nature of the sea. Their struggle for survival and their ultimate rescue is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. An eerie hush falls over the desolate landscape as the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows that dance ominously in the chilling breeze. The remnants of the Essex stand as silent sentinels to a bygone era, their ghostly presence a haunting reminder of the perilous journey undertaken by those brave souls who dared to venture into the uncharted waters of the open sea. As twilight deepens, the decaying timbers of the Essex seem to whisper tales of bravery and despair, their hollowed hulls echoing with the screams of whales and the cries of men battling for survival against the relentless fury of the deep. With each passing moment, the darkness envelops the abandoned whaling ships like a shroud, concealing their secrets beneath a veil of mystery and intrigue. Suddenly, a blood-curdling screech pierces the stillness of the night, sending shivers down your spine and awakening primal fears that have slumbered within you. Could it be the spectral apparition of a sailor lost and wandering, forever searching for redemption among the decaying masts and rigging of his final voyage? As you navigate the labyrinthine passages of the derelict ships, you find yourself face to face with the spectral crew of the Essex, their translucent forms shimmering in the flickering lantern light. The apparition of Captain Pollard, his eyes hollow and haunted, appears before you, beckoning you closer with a mournful gaze. He shares tales of their harrowing ordeal, the despair and desperation that gripped them. As they battled the relentless fury of the elements and the gnawing pangs of hunger and thirst, their ghostly forms swirl and coalesce around you, their icy fingers tracing paths of sorrow along your skin. As dawn breaks, the ghostly apparitions fade, leaving you trembling in the eerie silence of the abandoned ships. But the spectral hauntings are not limited to the shadowy confines of the Essex. Beneath the waves, the ghostly leviathans of the deep rise from their watery graves, their colossal forms gliding silently through the sapphire depths. The specter of Moby Dick, the great white whale, emerges from the murky abyss, its malevolent eyes fixed on you with an ancient, unfathomable rage. The icy tendrils of fear wrap around your heart as you witness the ghostly battle between man and beast, a timeless struggle played out in the ethereal realm of the afterlife. The ghost of Achach stands defiant, his spectral form illuminated by the ethereal glow of the moon as he wages an eternal war against the spectral whale. With each thrust of his ghostly harpoon, he seeks to vanquish the monstrous leviathan and avenge the fate of his crew, trapped forever in a spectral chase across the endless expanse of the sea. The Essex was found abandoned on February 20th, 2015, after an unmanned voyage from Norway to Brazil. The ship's journey was traced back to a suspicious internet listing for a cargo ship for sale. The investigation revealed a trail of deceit leading to a Nigerian fraudster posing as the owner of the Essex. The ship's history has been shrouded in mystery, with previous owners hiding its true identity and purpose. Despite its derelict state, the Essex remains a poignant reminder of the dangers of the whaling industry and the dark side of international shipping. Its ghostly presence continues to captivate the imagination, inviting us to explore the depths of our own mortality and the haunting legacy of the past. There is more evidence of whaling ships than just ghosts. Archaeologists have discovered the remains of hundreds of these vessels buried in the sands of time, frozen in their final moments of labor. Frozen in time, these relics of a bygone era offer a glimpse into a world where men braved the icy depths in pursuit of the elusive whale. Among the most remarkable discoveries is the wreck of the whale ship William and Mary, which sank off the coast of Ireland in 1799. Researchers have uncovered the remains of the ship's crew, preserved in a frozen block of ice, offering a haunting tableau of their final moments aboard the vessel. Another fascinating find is the skeleton of the whale ship Two Brothers, which lies hidden beneath the ice of Antarctica. This ghostly silhouette of the ship provides valuable insights into the construction and operation of whaling vessels during the early days of Antarctic exploration. But the frigid embrace of the Arctic has also claimed more sinister prey. The ghost fleet of Surapalak, abandoned whaling stations from the early 20th century, offers a haunting testament to the industry's impact on the environment and the lives of those who worked there. These derelict structures stand as silent witnesses to a time when whaling was a lucrative enterprise and the icy wastes of the Arctic were a hub of activity. But the ghost fleet serves as a stark reminder of the fragility. We're going to sail around the world in a wooden boat, we're going to meet a mermaid, and we're going to find a lost city. Let's go. Welcome to my channel. Hi, I'm your host. When people ask me what kind of stories I tell, I usually say humorous historical tales about real events from the distant past. That's true. But another way of putting it would be tall tales of daring-do, swashbuckling adventure stories of daring. You know what else I tell? Jokes. Some are funny. Some bomb. You know what else I tell? Stories about history's seafarers, explorers, pirates, soldiers, sailors, and anyone else who has ever cast off from the safety of the shore to brave the perils of the open ocean. I talk about the Vikings and the Polynesians, the Chinese and the Portuguese. But today, I want to focus on one underappreciated group. The sailors who sailed for the Dutch East India Company, a private company chartered by the Dutch government in the early 17th century to explore and exploit the riches of the East. Their ships were the fastest and largest ever built up to that point. They had tight deadlines. They were allowed to use deadly force, and they were given the right to establish settlements. In other words, the VOC was a supercharged version of a modern corporation like Apple or Amazon. Only instead of marketing cloud computing services, they were looking for spices. The VOC had a monopoly on trade between the Netherlands and Asia. They wanted to make money, lots of it, and they wanted to do it fast. They cut corners whenever they could, sometimes sacrificing safety to save time. This resulted in at least 300 wrecks during the company's first 20 years alone, which meant that many sailors ended up spending a good chunk of their lives waiting for rescue. Not that rescue was guaranteed. From 1602 to 1799, the VOC employed nearly 200,000 sailors, 40,000 of whom never came home, dead or alive. So whether you're reinterested in sailing adventures or maritime history, or just learning more about the most powerful private company in history, stick around. You won't regret it, okay? You will probably regret it, but at least you'll learn something. Wake before the sun rises, not to birdsong or bells, but to the groan of strained timbers in the sharp scent of salt mixed with something more unpleasant, the tang of rotting meat and oil that never truly leaves your clothes. You are a sailor aboard a 17th century Dutch whaling vessel, perhaps near the frigid waters of Spitsbergen or Greenland. Your boots are stiff from salt water, and your fingers ache before they even touch the morning's ropes. There's no privacy here. There's no warmth but your own breath in the wool of your scarf, frozen stiff from yesterday's work. Your day begins with hardtack and salted meat, if you're lucky. More often, it's ship's biscuit crawling with tiny weevils, their crunch indistinguishable from the flour itself. Water is doled out carefully, soured and dark from sitting in casks for months. Sometimes you're given beer or grog instead, not for pleasure, but because it's safer to drink than the water. The deck is slick with brine and blood. The ship is low and narrow, built not for comfort but for storage. Storage of barrels, tools, and of course whales. When the lookout cries tar, she blows. There is no excitement in your heart, only dread. You and the crew rush to the small boats, lowered shakily into waves that don't care about your mission. The whale is faster than you, stronger than your oars, but still you row. When you strike, the line sings out, burning through your hands if you're not careful. A fight with a whale can last hours, days even. It can overturn boats or pull them far from the ship, but when the animal dies, the real work begins. It's hauled to the ship's side where you flense it cutting, huge strips of blubber with long-handled knives, slippery with blood. The oil must be boiled in iron trypots over open flames on deck. The smell is thick, clinging, almost sweet in its repulsion. It gets into your hair, your clothes, even your dreams. Below deck, space is scarce. You sleep in hammocks strung above barrels, rats scurry through the darkness, and the air is close, damp, fishy, and tainted with smoke. You might go weeks without fresh food or dry feet. If scurvy doesn't get you, boredom might, or the cold, or another man's knife in a drunken fight. And yet you endure, because this is your life. The rhythm of the waves, the creak of the hull, the sting of wind in your face, and the weight of the harpoon in your hand. Survival is success, and no one talks about glory not until they're back on land, warm, dry, and far from the smell of boiling whale. Okay, so that might have been a bit too much immersion. How about this? Imagine you've woken up in your hammock to the familiar rocking of the waves. Your cabin mates are already up though, and they're shouting at each other in a language you don't understand. Uh-oh, you think. As they start shoving you out the door, you realize you don't want to be late for work. You shimmy down the rope ladder and hit the deck running. You feel lightheaded. Everything is loud and smells faintly of fish and mildew. Did they forget to open those hatches again? Before long, you're standing on the bowsprit, bracing against the wind that threatens to rip you right off. It's time to furl in the sails, a slow process that takes a lot of manpower. As you scramble to help, you think about how glad you are to be on the ground floor of such an exciting enterprise. The VOC is the most successful company in the world. Ships are the fastest and largest ever built. And you're helping to usher in a new age of exploration and trade. In fact, you might just be instrumental in finding gold, silk, silver, cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, and all the other valuable goods the Dutch are after. You know that every spice you bring back to Europe will earn you enough money to retire for life. You just have to survive the trip. So you work alongside your fellow sailors, hauling, tying, and securing ropes as you dodge barrels and sleeping men. After an hour or two, you finally finish and collapse on the deck. Now the real work begins. The lookout calls out. Land ho. Sure enough, there's an island in the distance. You and the other sailors cheer and hurry to tell the captain. It's probably uninhabited, you think. And even if there are natives, they're sure to be friendly. Right, wrong. Whoops. Okay. Maybe that wasn't a great introduction to the series either. How about this? Picture it. You're lying on the beach, enjoying the warm sun on your skin. You gaze out at the endless blue of the sea, thinking about how great life is. And then you spot a sail on the horizon. You wave, but it doesn't seem to see you. It gets closer, and now you can make out details on the ship, like the red color of the sails and the flag on the stern that tells you at Estech. The sailors on board wave at you, smiling broadly. Finally, someone from civilization. You scramble to your feet and run to the water's edge to greet them, but they keep rowing away from you. Then you notice the spears in their hands and the wild look in their eyes. You realize they aren't waving to you at all. They're waving to the mermaids. Yeah, mermaids. Turns out those sailors aren't waving at all. They're signaling to each other in sign language. And there aren't any mermaids. Instead, there are Japanese pirates, and they're giving orders to attack, and that's our show. Thanks for watching. Tell us in the comments which story you liked best. The ones with the whales, the Dutch company, or the mermaids.
Also,
Be sure to subscribe for more tall tales of daring do. As the tide recedes, it leaves behind a vast, glistening expanse of sand, a place where stories are etched into the wet, smooth surface. Here, with the rhythmic lull of the waves as our backdrop, let's delve into a tale of adventure, peril, and survival against all odds. Our journey begins on a crisp autumn morning in the year 1819. Picture this: the bustling port of Nantucket, a hub of activity as sailors prepare for their voyages. Among them, a group of men about to embark on what will become a legendary journey. Their vessel, the Essex, a sturdy whale ship laden with provisions and dreams of fortune. The crew, a mix of seasoned veterans and eager young men, all seeking their fortunes in the rich bounty of the Pacific Ocean. Captain George Pollard, Jr., a man of few words, leads the charge, his weathered face a testament to a life at sea. His first mate, Owen Chase, is a natural leader, his confidence evident to all who know him. Together with a diverse crew, they set sail, navigating the vast expanse of the Atlantic with the hopes of reaching the lucrative whaling grounds of the Pacific. Weeks turn into months as the Essex dances across the ocean waves. The routine settles into a rhythm. The crew, with calloused hands and weather-beaten faces, diligently tend to their duties, hauling in lines, cleaning the decks, and repairing equipment. The monotony is occasionally broken by the thrill of the hunt, the haunting cries of whales echoing across the horizon. During one such expedition, a lookout's cry cuts through the air. There she blows, announcing the presence of a massive sperm whale. Excitement ripples through the crew. This is their livelihood, their reason for braving the unforgiving seas. With practiced precision, the crew prepares for the chase, maneuvering the ship alongside the colossal creature. The air is thick with anticipation as harpoons are launched, piercing the murky water. The whale, enraged, thrashes violently, its powerful tail sending shock waves through the water. It's a battle of wills between man and beast, tenacity and raw power. Yet amidst the chaos, disaster strikes. The Essex is rammed by the very whale they pursue. The impact is devastating, creating a gaping hole in the ship's hull. Water pours in, threatening to engulf the vessel. Panic momentarily overpowers reason. The crew springs into action, desperately trying to save their ship. But it's a losing battle. The Essex is doomed. As the realization dawns on their faces, they abandon ship, fleeing to the safety of the 3 whaleboats. Their possessions limited to what they can carry. They drift on the relentless waves, facing the harsh realities of their fate. Here at the initial panic subsides, replaced by the stark acceptance of their perilous situation. They ration their meager supplies of food and water, each mouthful a reminder of their dwindling resources. Chase, ever resourceful, takes charge, organizing the men and instituting a daily routine. They follow a regimented schedule, ensuring that everyone receives a fair share of provisions. Each day brings new challenges. The relentless sun beats down, baking their skin and intensifying their thirst. The vast expanse of the ocean around them offers no respite. There's no land in sight, only the mocking horizon. Chase keeps a lookout, scanning the sea for any sign of land or passing ships, while the others tend to the boats, making minor repairs and catching rainwater. They engage in hunting, casting lines into the sea and hoping for a catch, but the fish seem to have vanished. Days turn into weeks, and their situation grows increasingly dire. Hunger pangs intensify, and the thirst becomes unbearable. The men grow weaker, their faces gaunt and hollow-eyed. The playful banter that once echoed on the boats gives way to a heavy silence, broken only by the lapping waves and the occasional cry of a seabird overhead. Chase, ever the pragmatist, refuses to surrender to despair. He keeps the men's spirits up, sharing stories of the past and reminiscing about the comforts of home. Then comes the fateful day when Chase spots a ship in the distance. Hope surges through the crew. Could this be their salvation? But as the ship draws closer, it becomes apparent that it won't be stopping to help. Disheartened, they watch it disappear over the horizon. The reality of their fate crashes upon them. They are truly on their own. The finality of their situation weighs heavily on the men's minds. They huddle together at night, sharing their fears and their dwindling rations. The thought of death by starvation or dehydration is a grim specter that looms over them. But amidst the darkness, the unbreakable bond of brotherhood emerges. They help each as their strength ebbs, offering words of comfort and support. They make peace with their fates, finding solace in each other's company. Then the unimaginable happens. Land appears on the horizon. The sight is so surreal that the men hesitate to believe it. Is it real, or a hallucination brought on by hunger and exhaustion? As they approach the shore, they discover they are on an uninhabited island. Relief washes over them, but it's short-lived. They quickly realize that this tropical paradise holds no immediate solution to their problems. While they can quench their thirst with fresh water and feast on fruits and nuts, the dense foliage conceals dangers. They must contend with biting ants, poisonous plants, and the constant threat of wild animals. Nevertheless, their health begins to improve. The nutritious fruits replenish their bodies, giving them renewed strength. Still, the reality of their situation remains. They are stranded, and escape seems like a distant dream. But Chase refuses to give up. He rallies the men, reminding them that they have survived thus far. And survival, he says, is a habit. They divide tasks, setting up camp, collecting food, and exploring the island. They construct makeshift tools from the wreckage of the boats and fallen branches, helping to ease their discomfort. They build shelters using palm leaves and driftwood, offering some protection from the elements. They tend to injuries, sharing their limited medical knowledge and comforting those in pain. They also navigate the complexities of human relationships, managing conflicts, offering support and maintaining a sense of camaraderie. And then there are the burials. The solemn ceremonies performed with reverence, laying their companions to rest. It's a ritual that helps them cope with the overwhelming grief of losing their friends and crewmates. The men endure. They learn to live with the harsh realities of their situation, finding moments of joy in the midst of adversity. They fish, sharing stories, singing songs, and reminiscing about their lives back home. They explore the island, discovering hidden coves, caves, and lush vegetation. They form a routine, a rhythm of survival that carries them through the days. Their spirits may be tested, but they stand firm, bound together by their shared experiences and unwavering determination. They adapt to their environment, learning to use natural resources, building shelters, and finding sustenance. Their resilience is remarkable, a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. They don't just survive, they thrive, forging a sense of community and finding moments of happiness. Despite the challenges, their story is one of courage, adaptation, and the indomitable will to survive. It's a story that echoes the timeless human spirit, reminding us that even in the harshest environments, hope and resilience can prevail. But this is not the end of their tale. Soon enough, a passing ship will spot these men on the island, marking the end of their ordeal. They will be rescued, forever changed by their experience on the island. The ordeal of the Essex and its crew serves as a potent reminder of the raw power of nature and the unbreakable spirit of humanity. If you found this tale gripping, I invite you to stay tuned for more captivating adventures. Give this video a like and share your thoughts below. Thanks for joining me today. Till next time, may your journey through life be filled with as much adventure as the open sea. Remember, the greatest adventures are often found just beyond the horizon. All you have to do is take the first step. Thank you for watching. The sea, when wild, bellows its fury. Storms lash the deck, waves crash and roar, and the elements wage war against man and machine. But there is a different kind of danger lurking in the vast expanse of the ocean, one that strikes not with a sudden blow, but with an insidious, suffocating quiet. This is the tale of the ghost ships of the Arctic, eerie vessels silenced by the frozen north and preserved in icy tombs. Our journey begins in the desolate beauty of the Arctic Circle, a region of extremes, where sunlight fades into polar night and ice reigns supreme. Here, beneath skies drained of color and muffled in silence, the sea tells a story of solitude and despair. Imagine a whaling ship, a harbinger of industry and greed in the 18th century, venturing far into these uncharted waters. The men aboard are hardened souls seeking fortune in the form of whale oil, oblivious to the fate that silently awaits them. The Arctic holds many wonders, but fortune favors the bold. Or does it? What if fate has another design? One that involves a tomb of ice and a silence that echoes through eternity. These men sailed forth under skies drained of color, the sun, a distant memory, replaced by an ethereal twilight. The relentless crunch of ice against steel becomes the soundtrack of their journey. The ship, once a symbol of human enterprise, is now a prisoner of the very elements it sought to conquer. The silence grows, enveloping the ship and all who dwell within it. The men, once brimming with vigor, now huddled together, their faces drawn and haggard. Their fate is sealed as the Arctic's icy grip tightens its hold. As the temperature plummets and the ice closes in, the men scramble, desperate to free their ship from its icy prison. But against the relentless Arctic, their efforts are futile. Panic sets in as the ship, once a beacon of hope, becomes a tomb. The sight of the trapped vessel is both eerie and mesmerizing. The ship, frozen in time, seems to hold its breath as the Arctic's icy fingers tighten their grip. The men aboard, forever silenced, become part of the frozen tableau, their life stories extinguished as quickly as the fading light. The ship, a grim specter against the monochromatic backdrop, stands as a testament to the Arctic's unforgiving nature. In the frozen wastelands of the Arctic, the ghost ship becomes a monument of sorts, a silent sentinel guarding secrets best left undisturbed. The passage of time, normally a solace, offers no respite here. Instead, it adds to the ship's haunting grandeur. The elements conspire to weave a shroud of mystery around the vessel, turning it into a relic of a bygone era. The ghost ship, once a vessel of commerce and conquest, is now a haunting reminder of the futility of man's ambition in the face of nature's raw power. Its presence in the desolate Arctic landscape is a chilling spectacle, a somber masterpiece sculpted by the unrelenting forces of the frozen north. The icy expanse becomes a canvas upon which the ghost ship is painted, stroke by merciless stroke, creating a haunting masterpiece that defies time itself. The Arctic's embrace is both cruel and beautiful, preserving the ship in its final moments of agony and leaving it as an eternal enigma. Beneath the desolate beauty of the frozen north, a tragedy unfolds, a stark reminder of the Arctic's unforgiving nature. The ghost ship, ensnared in its icy labyrinth, becomes a haunting specter, forever frozen in its struggle against the relentless elements. The Arctic's silence is deafening, amplifying the tragedy of the trapped vessel and those who met their end within its confines. Amidst the eerie silence, a lone explorer ventures forth, driven by an insatiable curiosity or perhaps a morbid fascination. As he braves the icy terrain, the ghost ship emerges from the frozen wastelands, its spectral presence both captivating and terrifying. The explorer, undeterred by the ominous silence, approaches the ship, each step echoing the footsteps of those who came before him, seeking answers or perhaps a glimpse into the abyss. The closer he gets, the more the ship's haunting grandeur reveals itself. The explorer, dwarfed by the immensity of the frozen vessel, feels the weight of the Arctic's secrets pressing down on him. He sees the remnants of a crew's final moments, forever etched in ice, a chilling tableau of despair and resignation. The explorer, confronted by the ghost ship's haunting visage, realizes the futility of escape. The Arctic's icy grip knows no mercy, offering no solace to those trapped within its frozen grasp. With each passing moment, The explorer becomes entangled in the web of the Arctic's icy embrace, mirroring the fate of those who came before him. The ghost ship, a silent sentinel, stands as a testament to the Arctic's unforgiving nature. Its presence a haunting reminder of the price of ambition and the allure of the unknown. In the frozen heart of the Arctic, the ghost ship beckons with its eerie silence, promising a tale of tragedy and loss. As the explorer steps closer, the ship's haunting grandeur unfolds, revealing a story of human ambition and nature's raw power. With each step, he delves deeper into the mystery, becoming entwined in the fate of those who met their end aboard the vessel. The explorer, captivated by the ghost ship's haunting embrace, finds himself drawn into its icy depths, mirroring the crew's final descent into the Arctic's frozen grip. And now, dear listeners, we invite you to join us on this haunting journey. Close your eyes, if you will, and let your imagination drift to the frozen wastelands of the Arctic. Picture the ghost ship, ensnared in its icy labyrinth, and feel the oppressive silence envelop you. Let the mournful cry of the Arctic wind carry you away to a time when whaling ships braved these treacherous waters. Imagine the men aboard, their faces etched with determination and fear as they battled the relentless elements. Now, venture closer to the ship and witness the haunting tableau of a crew frozen in time, their life stories extinguished by the unforgiving Arctic. Feel the weight of their silent despair pressing down upon you. As you explore the ship's eerie confines, uncover the remnants of their final moments, forever imprinted on the icy deck. Let the ghost ship's haunting embrace envelop you, transporting you to a world where silence speaks volumes and the Arctic's icy grip knows no mercy. We thank you for joining us on this journey to the frozen heart of the Arctic, and for bringing the ghost ship and its haunting tale to life with your vivid imagination. If you found this experience thought-provoking and chilling, we encourage you to share your feedback in the comments below. Your thoughts and emotions are the echoes that resonate within the chambers of our creative ship. They inspire us to navigate uncharted waters of storytelling and bring forth new tales that captivate and chill. As always, dear listeners, until our paths converge again in a new tale, may your nights be filled with peaceful dreams and your days with vibrant adventures. Farewell. Whaling, that perilous dance between man and monster, has long captured our imaginations. We see the sailors on rotting ships, harpoons flashing in the frigid spray, feel the raw power of the creatures that once dominated our seas. But amidst the grand tales of Moby Dick and the salty dramas of seafaring men, there's a quieter story waiting to be told. It's a tale of hushed counting rooms, ledger books, and a measured way of life. This is the story of the gentlemen who profited from whaling, those whose fortunes rode the waves of the industry without ever setting foot on a rotting ship. These men, the ship owners, agents, and oil merchants, were the captains of a different kind of vessel, navigating not the open ocean, but the intricate currents of commerce. Let's turn back the clock and step into their world. Imagine yourself in a bustling port town like Nantucket or New Bedford. The year is around 1850, and the air hums with activity. Sailors, fresh from months at sea, are swapping stories over mugs of beer in the tavern. Their ships, the industry's iron whales, are being unloaded. The scent of salt and oil hangs heavy, mingling with the cries of gulls and the shouts of dock workers. At the heart of this commotion are the merchants and owners, a world away from the hardships endured by the crews. The sun may beat down on the docks, but they are indoors in well-ventilated rooms, filled with the aroma of fresh coffee and pipe tobacco. Maps adorn the walls, some detailing the 7 seas, others charting the intricate routes of whaling ships. Desks piled high with documents tell their own story of a life lived by numbers. Theirs is a world of ledgers and logbooks, where the fate of ships and fortunes are decided with the stroke of a pen. But how did these men amass their wealth? The answer lies in the heart of the whaling industry itself, the processing of the whale. Imagine a massive humpback, its lifeblood staining the water crimson as it sinks beneath the waves. Its massive form is hauled aboard, its blubber stripped away and cut into manageable sections. Men with practiced hands work with a grim efficiency, their movements honed by years of experience. The oil is rendered, the baleen is separated, and every part of the creature is utilized, each step bringing them closer to the end goal. The finished oil, ready to illuminate homes and businesses across the globe, is stored in barrels, each one a silent testament to the industry's reach. These men didn't just deal in the final product, though. They owned the ships that ventured forth into the endless blue, harpoon in hand, ready to capture the very essence of the sea. When a ship set sail, it was with the backing of a ship owner, a man who calculated not just the risks of the voyage, but its potential rewards. Every nail hammered into the ship's hull, every rope coiled on deck was another step towards filling his coffers. On land, another set of hands was at work. The oil merchants, refined and cultivated, sat in their offices, their fingers stained with ink rather than fish oil. They bought and sold their wares like any merchant, bartering for the best price, ensuring that the oil from the sea ended up lighting the lamps of the world's grandest cities. This intricate dance of trade and industry was the lifeblood of these men's fortunes. With every barrel of oil traded, every ship commissioned, they grew richer.
Nice.
Their wealth became a tangible force, influencing not just the economy of the port towns, but shaping the course of their lives and those around them. But their influence went far beyond the exchange of goods. It seeped into the very fabric of the towns, becoming an integral part of their social structure. Theirs were the houses that stood tall and proud, a beacon against the stark horizon of the sea. And built with the industry's spoils, they were testaments to the quiet power these men wielded. Inside, the air was thick with the fragrance of imported flowers and the glow of whale oil lamps, the irony not lost on those who lived there. On the walls hung portraits of ancestors and stern reminders of the industry that fueled their lifestyle. Deeds and charts mingled with family crests and maritime trophies, creating a space that celebrated both their heritage and the industry that had brought them fortune. In these grand homes, conversations revolved around trade routes and market fluctuations. Mixed with the latest news from Europe and the gossip of high society, their sons and daughters grew up amidst this world, learning the intricacies of business before mastering the art of ballroom dancing. Education was prized, with sons often sent to prestigious universities and daughters tutored in the graces expected of their station. Theirs was a life of leisure punctuated by the responsibilities of maintaining their social standing. While the sailors braved the tempestuous seas, these men and women navigated the choppy waters of high society. They entertained in style, hosting parties that echoed with laughter and music, filling their drawing rooms with the best that art and culture could offer. These gatherings were not just for pleasure, however. They were also a means to maintain their position, a chance to broker deals and alliances under the guise of merriment. But this seemingly idyllic existence was not without its anxieties. For while they lived lives of comfort and luxury, they did so under the constant shadow of uncertainty. Every voyage was a gamble, every barrel of oil a risk. The vagaries of the market, the perils of the sea, and the unpredictable nature of the industry meant that their fortunes were never truly secure. As the 19th century progressed, new challenges arose. The great whale migrations began to shift, forcing the men to adapt their strategies and venture into uncharted waters. Then came the competition, other nations eager to capitalize on the lucrative industry. And finally, the specter of waning resources loomed, a silent threat that whispered of a future where the seas might run less rich. Yet they persevered, these men of the counting room, adjusting their course as needed, always keeping an eye on the horizon. They diversified their investments, strengthened their alliances, and most importantly, held fast to their traditions of hard work and prudent management. But as the world changed around them, their industry's grip on their lives slowly began to fade. The discovery of new energy sources and shifting global demands marked the beginning of a new era. The familiar rhythms of the industry that had dictated their lives for generations began to falter. The once dependable rhythm of trade became a shaky tune. For many, this shift spelled the end of a way of life. Families who had basked in the glow of their fortunes saw their mansions emptied, their positions in society challenged. Theirs was a gradual decline, a steady dimming of the lamp they had so carefully tended. Yet even in the face of this, their spirit remained. They adapted, some embracing the changing times, others holding fast to tradition. Some of these men chose to diversify, investing in new ventures that promised prosperity in the dawn of the industrial age. Others clung to the familiarity of whaling, refusing to abandon an industry that had defined their heritage. Theirs was a quiet revolution, a subtle shift that mirrored the changing world outside. They continued to navigate the currents of commerce, now steered by new forces, yet still driven by the same principles that had brought them success in the first place. Today, the echoes of their influence can still be found in the grand homes that line the streets of coastal towns, each room telling a story of a bygone era. In the whaling logs preserved in archives, the neat script detailing not just the catch, but the calculations that drove the industry. And in the very fabric of the communities they shaped, where the legacy of their contributions is woven into the landscape, they were men of the counting room, their wealth and influence defined by the ebb and flow of the whaling industry. And while their numbers may have faded into the annals of history, their impact remains. So next time you gaze out at the endless expanse of the sea, remember, the men who stood on distant shores not wrestling with ropes and harpoons, but with ledgers and trade routes, whose fortunes rode the waves of the whaling boom. For they too were part of the grand tapestry of an industry that once ruled the seas,